So we've explored extroversion and introversion and sensing intuition, and we're now going to move on to thinking and feeling.
Okay, great.
Okay?
Yep.
So I'm going to use this card here.
Yep.
So thinking back to thinking and feeling from when you did your step 1.
Yep.
So thinking and feeling is the process that we use to make decisions.
Okay.
And if you want to have a quick glance through down there, it's just a reminder of the differences between thinking and feeling. Is it coming back to you?
Yes, it is. Yeah, definitely.
And it's just a reminder that people with a thinking preference can still feel, and people with a feeling preference can still think.
Yeah.
So the different facets that make up the thinking and feeling preference, and we've got them on this card here, are the top facet is about how people would ideally like to make a decision.
Right.
So do they make their decision by stepping out of the situation and looking back in on something in order to be logical and objective?
Yeah.
Do they step into the decision in order to understand it from the other people's perspectives?
Okay, yeah, that makes perfect sense, yeah.
So that was the ideal decision making. And then reasonable compassionate is about how you actually make your decision. So how do I ideally make my decision, and then how do I actually do it?
Okay.
Where do I start and where do I end up in my decision making process?
Okay.
Yeah?
Yep.
And then after that, it's about how do we engage with people through the decision making process. So do I question? If somebody presents me with something, do I challenge it, question it, try to really understand and be quite tenacious in getting my questions answered?
Right.
Or I'm more concerned with the relationship with the other person, and therefore may not question directly, may question in a more indirect way.
Yeah.
Oh, I noticed that. Why might that be? And are we focused more on looking at what's wrong or what's right? So in a situation, am I going to look for what's wrong with something in order that we can make it right, or do I look for what's right in a situation so we can build on it?
Okay.
And then once our decision's made, we're going to drive it through, or are we going to make sure that we've got people with us?
Yep.
Yep.
Got it.
So, yep. So they're the facets of thinking and feeling.
Yes.
And then if we look at your profile around thinking and feeling,
Oh, okay.
what do you notice?
Well, the critical goes right into the yellow.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
So
That sort of
critical
sticks out.
tends to be behaviour that we would associate with somebody with a thinking preference.
Right. Okay.
Typically, somebody with a feeling preference would have accepting behaviour, so they would look for what's right.
Okay. That's interesting. I wasn't expecting that.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
If I asked your team, what might they say? What would they expect?
Well, I mean, I have to be honest, I thought everything would be over here in the feeling side, not over in the T. So, I mean, it has been coming, it sort of has been highlighted in the 360, that I can be critical.
Yeah.
And it's not something I've really thought about before. I hadn't. And I suppose I can. I suppose, if I think something's not right, I will say it.
Yeah.
Definitely. I won't sit on the fence.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I suppose that's why it's gone into the critical.
Okay.
But it's not something I was hugely aware of, I think, before.
Shall we leave that just for now?
Okay.
And have a look at these are the 4 facets that are all in the midzone.
Yep.
And then we can come back to the critical and explore that a bit further.
Okay,
Is
yeah.
that okay with
you?
you?
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, okay. So if we looked at the decision making,
Yep.
it's suggesting that your decision making is is dependent on the context or the situation that you're in.
Yep.
So it's potentially using the logical, objective side and the empathetic feeling side.
Right.
How does that fit with you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very aware that I use empathy with I think decision making. Definitely, I'm going with what I'm thinking about the client and what they would want and what would help them. Definitely. So I think probably I think maybe I was expecting it to be more on that side.
Yeah.
And logical. Yeah, I mean, I would presume that there would be some logic in there as well.
Yeah,
So that
yes.
makes sense, I suppose, that it is. I thought maybe it might be more on the empathy than sort of halfway between the two.
Okay.
So,
I'm kind of curious as to what is driving you to think that it might be more on that side of things.
Just because I think I'm more client driven. I think I'm more thinking about the client first than maybe the business side of it, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm thinking more about what will keep the clients happy, but maybe not. I'm not thinking, say, more about the budget, which might help our business.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Does that fit with that?
Yes. So what this is suggesting.
Yeah.
If we look here. Believe the ideal way to make a decision is to consider the logical consequence as well as people's feelings.
Yeah.
Respect a dispassionate approach, but not in the extreme.
Yeah.
So you're not likely to come across as coldly logical nor overly concerned with people's feelings.
Yeah.
And can experience some tension between the two. So where there's a conflict or between perhaps the business decision and the values decision, how that might impact on you.
What? So sorry. Repeat the question. So what?
So if you were in a situation where the business decision or the logical decision is to do something in a particular way.
Yeah.
So you have a client and the client is wanting to perhaps have a team event.
Yeah.
And you can understand the objective reasons for why they might do that.
Yes.
But when you consider it from the feeling perspective, there is something about the values of the people involved in that process that doesn't quite sit right.
Yes. Yeah.
So your head is suggesting one thing and your heart is suggesting another.
Right.
And with this midzone, you're weighing up the two. I could do that. I could do this. And how might that be for you?
How might I deal with? I mean, that's definitely what does happen.
Yeah.
But I would normally go with what the clients want. I think.
Yes.
But obviously, I have to weigh up the logical side as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And going with what the client may want is suggesting your underlying preference for feeling.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely. Okay.
When we read the descriptions around the logical, empathetic, reason and compassionate, and when we talked at the beginning about there is no right or wrong and there is no good or bad profile, when that's used effectively, it can be very powerful because it's somebody who's able to weigh up decisions from both perspectives.
Okay.
When it's perhaps used less effectively is where other people are not necessarily understanding the basis on which somebody's making a decision.
Okay.
Because they're seeing perhaps the outcome of that decision rather than understanding the process that somebody made to get to that decision. So for them, decisions may well feel inconsistent or they can't predict or understand.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense because I think that's the feedback that I'm getting from the 360. And that probably is why they see me, so my colleagues see me as being impractical because they don't know the process that I'm going through. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, that's very interesting. Yeah. Cool. Okay.
Is that something that you might like to work on?
Yeah, so I suppose what this is bringing up is that I need to be a bit more transparent, maybe with how I come to my decisions. And I suppose, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I suppose that's so it sort of explaining to them why I've decided to do something. And it's because I'm thinking about the client, and also because logically there are other things to take on board.
Yeah, sure.
So it's, yeah, and that would tick that box with the feedback I'm getting, and that would make them happier if they could see exactly what's going on.
Yeah, there seems to be a connection there between the two.
And it's very interesting breaking it down like this, because obviously I just do everything instinctively, but this is giving me it will just make me more aware of why I'm doing it and how I'm doing it.
And other people as well,
Yeah,
perhaps.
yeah. Okay, no, that's interesting.
We've explored how that might play out at work.
Yeah.
And this is part of a coaching program that you're engaged with. But there's also the element of how might that play out at home as well.
Oh no, my husband would appreciate that, I think, definitely. If he knew why I was doing things, rather than yeah, okay, yeah, no, yeah, it could help at home, definitely.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
being a bit more, explaining things a bit more, why I've decided to do something, rather than just saying we're doing this. Yeah.
Yeah. And why I was asking you that is because for some people with this profile, it might well be that in a work context, you see the more logical, reasoned behaviour. In a home context, you see the more empathetic and compassionate side, or vice versa.
Or sometimes, yeah.
Or it
Not
might
always.
be that, as in your case, it's a different explanation. And
yeah.
there are many reasons, and it's where the individuality of step 2 helps people to understand themselves and understand and perhaps put into context feedback.
No, that's really interesting. So it could be completely different at home than it is in the office. So seeing the two ways that you make decisions and how you can use that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.